If you have hard water issues and want to make sure you have the safest drinking water for your family, check out this video. We'll walk through the process of installing a DIY water filtration system that includes a reverse osmosis system, water softener, UV filter, and sediment filter. This is a DIY project you can tackle, and you can save a lot of money doing it yourself. Let's get to it. The first step is to get your water tested. Now, if you haven't done that already, check out my video. I'll have a link to that in the description on how to do it. Our previous setup consisted of a pressure tank and a hot water heater, so very basic. I started by shutting off breakers for anything water related. For peace of mind, I added a smart water monitor and shutoff valve. This is easy to add, and I like it because you can see all sorts of statistics on your water usage, and most importantly, it can help sense a leak, which could prevent water issues in your home. To make the install simple, I added a shark bite fitting that connected to the existing copper pipe, and then added the water monitor. On the other end, another fitting was used to convert the rest of the pipe to 3/4 inch PEX pipe, which is very easy to work with if you're a DIYer. I converted from the copper by using a copper pipe cutter, and then PEX can be cut easily, and you use a combination of fittings and clamps or crimp rings to secure each connection. Definitely watch some videos to learn more about using PEX to make sure you do it correctly, as I'm not a plumber, but I certainly think it is DIY friendly and something you can learn and put into practice. The next step was to disconnect the water heater and to pull it aside to give me more room to work. And to prevent sediment and larger particles from getting into our water lines and appliances, a sediment filter was the next item to install. This is a 500 micron filter that can be replaced when needed. I have a 3/4 inch plywood wall, which makes it easy to fasten things to, including the bracket which holds the water filter. When the threads are pointed at you, wrap the Teflon tape clockwise. Attach a fitting to each side of the filter. The water source is going to come into the left side and then leave from the right side. I used fittings so PEX can go directly to it, but there are of course many different methods to make each of the connections. I worked on this over the course of a weekend and did some temporary solutions just to make sure we still had water in the house for kids' baths and everything. So I'm not going in depth on connecting all the filters with pipe, but that's something you can plan out so that it works with your setup. Next up was to install the water softener to fix our hard water issues. I had never installed a softener, so this was all new to me. The top twists on and it can be snugged up with the handle on a wrench or something that's going to give you some leverage. Install the bypass valves on the softener next. The elbows will make it easy to connect your flexible water lines to once the softener is moved in place. I'd like to thank Moen Springwell for sponsoring today's video. If you're looking to get a water filtration system for your home, I'd recommend checking out their site. You can use the promo code DIYPete10 for 10% off anything you order. I moved the softener in place and then prepared it to connect to the water lines. Flip it so the valves are facing the wall and then connect them. Next up is to connect the softener to the brine tank, which holds the salt, and to install the clear drain tubes. And the first drain tube is attached to the left side of the softener. I cut the other end near the floor drain where it will be attached later. Run the black tubing from the softener to the brine tank, and this part was filmed a little out of order, but there's a push fitting it connects to inside the tank. I then ran the clear brine tank tube to the drain. A step bit was used to drill slightly larger holes in the floor drain, and elbow fittings at the ends of each drain tube, and then zip ties to secure each of the tubes at the drain. I picked up 4 40-pound bags of salt pellets at the grocery store for about $7 per bag, so we could start using the softener. Like I said, I was tackling this filtration system over the course of a couple days, so after putting in the softener, I temporarily connected it back to the rest of the house so we could use water for the evening and try out the new softener. The cool thing about the softener is it connects to Bluetooth, and you can set it up with an app to get it dialed in with all your settings. Moen Springwell also has a great resource of videos I'd recommend checking out to make sure your water system install goes smoothly. The system will first run a regeneration cycle, which flushes out the minerals captured from hard water, ensuring that your water softener operates efficiently. This took about 90 minutes. Your softener will then go through about 4 stages and will eventually start filling the brine tank. I'd recommend sticking close to your utility room during the first regeneration cycle to make sure everything is running smoothly and without leaks. Once it's finished, the time will show on the screen and it will display the number of gallons until the next regeneration cycle. I set mine to regenerate every 14 days if it doesn't reach the 3,926 gallons, which it never does. Now that we have the soft water running, we cleaned all the shower heads, faucets, and glass doors with vinegar to remove the buildup and hard water spots. and we haven't dealt with any of the hard water issues since the softener was installed, and cleaning has been much easier. When I had a little more time, I got back into the utility room to install the UV filter. Now, I try to shock our well once a year, but in case any bacteria does start to form, this filter is peace of mind that you'll catch any of it. There are a couple mounting brackets to attach to the wall. Just make sure that it isn't too close to the ceiling because you'll need clearance above it to service and replace the UV bulb. I used a PEX connection for where the water lines will connect to the UV filter, and then mounted the display to the wall. The UV unit was secured to the wall, and then I carefully inserted the glass UV sleeve. The threaded piece on top can go next, followed by a spring that slides into the bottom, and then the UV bulb that you'll want to make sure to handle with gloves. Then you can attach the top with the power cord and twist it in place. That completes the basics of installing your UV filter, and it's a good idea to do bypass valves around the UV filter so it can be serviced easily. Then you can insert the key into the display, turn it on, and the display is going to let you know when to replace the UV bulb. Next, we'll take a look at the overall process of installing a tank-based reverse osmosis system with a faucet so you can see an overview of how it's done. It involves a filter and a tank that goes under your sink and a faucet on the counter. You'll need a hole for the faucet, so you can either drill a new one or you can use an existing hole like we did, which was a soap dispenser. Clean out your cabinet so you have space to work, and then turn off your water supply. Disconnect your current kitchen faucet from the water supply. Now here's the hardware that comes with the kit. You'll use a T to split the line so it can either go to your current kitchen faucet or to the new reverse osmosis system. The tank will sit on a stand, and then you can test fit to find a good spot on the side of your cabinet to mount the filters. Mark and drill a hole in the drain pipe, which is going to be where your RO system will drain its excess or waste water. Clamp on the connection piece and tighten. I used the drill bit to stick in the hole to make sure it was lined up. Prep the tank so it can connect to the rest of the system using the Teflon tape and hardware provided. Again, Moen Springwell has a very detailed video you can watch, but I wanted to simply give you a good glimpse at what's involved with the overall process. The filter cartridge holder can then be mounted to the cabinet. Keep it up just enough so you can remove the filters when they need to be replaced. Make sure it fits before tightening the screws completely, since you'll need to pull it out to make a few connections. Attach this 1/4-inch tubing to the back part of the cartridge holder. Go ahead and label each cartridge with the date you need to replace it. The cartridges will need to be replaced every 6 months or a year depending on which one it is. One of the cartridges will have a connection piece on it that looks like this. The cartridge holder has shapes that make it easy to know which filter goes where. Twist each filter in place, making sure each is locked into position. You'll then put this little white tube into the blue one, which will attach to the second filter from the front. Cut the other end of that 1/4-inch black tubing and connect it to your water supply. This is what gets water to the RO system. Snap the elbows in place and then connect the white tube to the cartridge holder from the water tank. I removed the soap dispenser to free up a hole for the RO faucet. Clean off the counter prior to putting the new faucet in. Place the black ring onto the faucet and then fish the 2 blue tubes through the hole. Connect them to the faucet by pushing them in place before resting the faucet into the hole. I got under the sink and fastened the faucet from the bottom side to tighten it up against the counter, and then used the gray fitting to connect the gray tube to the faucet. The 3/8-inch blue tube waistline was then connected into the hole in the sink drain we drilled earlier, and then the other end of the gray line connects to the front of the cartridge holder. That completes the install of the RO system, and they recommend waiting for the water tank to fill and then run the faucet to drain the entire tank twice prior to drinking the water to prep the system. Then you can put everything back in and organize your cabinet. Now the tank and filters do take up a little room, which is the only downside, so we simply put a couple items in the pantry instead. Since we have chilled fridge water, I thought I'd hook up the RO system to it as well. I first disconnected the old line to the fridge, shut off the water supply, and drained any water left in the system. To add the new line, we'll use a T-fitting to split off of the filtered water line. I cut the gray tube, drained the water, and then installed the T-fitting. From the T-fitting, I ran 1/4-inch tube to a shutoff valve so that the fridge can be serviced, and then I continued the 1/4-inch tubing to the fridge. Our kitchen has a basement below, and so I was able to run it through the joist below the floor, but you could drill small holes to run it through the back of your cabinets if needed. Pull out the fridge, disconnect the old water supply, and then attach your new line, which is connected to the RO system. I did need to buy a fridge kit to do this, which was about $20. I did notice slightly less pressure to the fridge, but it still works well, and the ice maker functions just as it always has. But this can definitely vary with fridge types and the length of the tubing running to your fridge. Well, there you have it. That was a quick overview of our water filtration system installed, and here's a final look at the setup in the utility room. The water comes into the house from the well, then goes to the pressure tank and to the water monitor with the shutoff valve. Then it goes to our sediment filter, followed by the water softener, and then to the water heater, UV filter, and then to the rest of the house. I did do bypass valves around both the sediment filter and UV filter to make servicing the system easy. I also did valves so I can use unfiltered water outside primarily, or have the option to send softened water to the hot tub, which has made a huge difference. As far as maintenance goes, you will need to add salt to the softener every few months, which is pretty easy to do. And then you'll need to replace the RO, sediment filters, and UV bulb as recommended. As for costs, it will obviously vary by what you need, but for a water softener for a 4 to 6 bathroom home, a sediment filter and reverse osmosis system, it's going to run around $2,200 with the 10% off promo code applied at the time of this recording. If you wanted to add a UV filter and smart water monitor, you'll be closer to around $3,700 with the discount. Add a few $100s for pipe and fittings as well, and any tools you might need to buy. Now, I think the basic $2,200 setup will honestly help with the majority of your hard water issues and help get your family safe drinking water. But definitely do your research and, of course, analyze your lab results for your situation. I easily saved a few $1,000s from hiring a professional to do this. I learned a lot, and I'm really happy with the results. Our appliances run smoother, the dishes are cleaner, we don't have to buy bottled water anymore because we have great drinking water, and the house is easier to clean. Leave any questions or ideas you have in the comments below, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.